Hi guys, and welcome back to Theme Park Parents. My name is Dan, and in this final video of 2025 I'm going to be ranking all of the new roller coasters that I've experienced in this year from order of least favourite to favourite. Has been a really good year for us. We've managed to do 13 different theme parks and experienced a huge amount of new attractions and roller coasters. We launched the channel only back in April, and since then we've been able to engage with quite a few followers and gain a few subscribers to the channel. Obviously we are really small, so we just do this to document our travels and our theme park trips and make some memories along the way. Also gives me a reason to get out to a few more theme parks as well, and I do enjoy the vlogging side of things. So yeah, we launched back in April and we've done 13 different theme parks, 4 of which have been in mainland Europe. Obviously Holly has experienced a load of new parks that I've done previously in my childhood or have visited before, and I've experienced some brand new theme parks as well. It's been a really good year. The children have also made massive progress with the amount of intensity and the forces and the thrill of the type of roller coaster that they have been able to get on and are brave enough to actually try now, and they've enjoyed so much of it as well. It's been really good, and I think that is really what has made the year for me, is just seeing the children enjoy some of the roller coasters which I was hoping they'd be able to get on this year. It looks like the cat will be joining me for this video, so apologies if there's any purring into the mic. So as a conclusion for this year, I just wanted to do a roundup and just rank all of these coasters. I've managed to experience 47 new roller coasters this year, so I'm not going to try and make this too much of a long video. I won't delve too deep into each one. I'll just give a quick brief explanation as to why it's there in that list and pop a little bit of the off-road footage or POVs that I've managed to capture during the vlogs that I've filmed this year. So let's delve straight into it, and coming in at number 47 is Dino Duplo. This is an art engineering roller coaster that is located over at Legoland Windsor, and it really is the most basic coaster. I think probably the most thrill-less, forceless and unamusing roller coaster I've ever been on in my life. But Rowan wanted to experience it, he wanted to go on it, so we took him on it. And I think the only positive I can take from this is that it's pretty well themed to the Dino Duplo area. It really is my first roller coaster for children, so me and Holly probably didn't get any enjoyment out of this at all. In at number 46 is Whirlwind. This is an SBF Visa spinning coaster over at Great Yarmouth Pleasure Beach. Again, not particularly forceful, not particularly thrilling or enjoyable, but the fact it is spinning makes it sort of re-rideable and you get half good interaction with the other cars. It's also a decent ride length. You do get a fair few laps on that, but again, nothing special. In at number 45 and 44 is the Like Me coaster at Plopsaland, Belgium, and Express over at Pleasurewood Hills. The reason I put these two together is because they're exactly the same. They're both Zero Tivoli coasters. They've both got the same layout, more or less the same sort of feelings on ride. The only reason I put Express slightly higher up is because you've got that indoor tunnel on the lift hill, which makes it slightly more immersive. These rides, however, they age not great. They're very rough. They throw you around a bit. They've only got the single shared lap bar, so you do move around a lot in your seats. And again, not the most thrilling of coasters, so that's why they make it so far down this list. In at number 43 is Vikings over at Energylandia. There's really not a great deal good to say about this roller coaster, to be fair.
I'm going to interrupt you right there. That horrible excuse of a roller coaster should be at the back of the line. Hi guys, I'm in the process of doing my nails and Dan is filming. I'm keeping the dog company and quiet and out of Dan's way, but I could not help but interrupt the fact that he put Vikings at 43 and not at 50, or right at the bottom. It is a horrendous excuse for a roller coaster, and it gave me a concussion. Avoid at all costs, unless you wish to die.
Yeah, so following on from that, yeah, it's not great. It's very painful. It's very rough. It shakes you around. When you're watching it from off-ride, you can see how much the cars rock around. It's just not great. Usually, I like Wild Mouse coasters, but this one was just not enjoyable. It's a one and done for me just to experience it. But yeah, I don't think I'd ever be doing it again. The restraints are horrible. There's just no enjoyment to it. It was built back when Energylandia were just putting in attractions here, there and everywhere from all sorts of mismatched manufacturers, and nothing was particularly permanent. So yeah, they've improved a lot since then, but this is one of their original coasters, and it definitely needs a replacement, to be fair. In at number 42 is Draconis. This is a Mack Rides powered coaster over at Plopsaland, Belgium. This is the one that we most recently experienced. Again, it's not particularly enjoyable, it's not really forceful, but it's quite a long layout to it. It's got a fair few sort of nice elements to it, little pops of airtime and positive Gs. It's generally a family coaster though, and you do get 2 laps round. It's got relatively good theming, but not really too much to say for the thrill seekers and sort of in that aspect, so that's why it makes it in at number 42. In at number 41 is Family Star. This is the other major roller coaster over at Great Yarmouth Pleasure Beach, other than the Scenic Railway, which I have experienced many times, but I did manage to do Family Star this year for the first time. Great Yarmouth Pleasure Beach has always got a sort of a temporary coaster that comes in and out, but at the moment it is this Wild Mouse. It's not the best Wild Mouse I've experienced, to be fair. It's quite a short layout. There's not really any pops of airtime, which you sometimes get on these. It's not really that forceful either. Like I said, it's just a short layout. It's just generally a bit underwhelming, and I'm glad I experienced it, but yeah, I wouldn't probably rush to get on that coaster. It's not particularly anything special. In at number 40 and number 39 is the K3 roller skater and Energus. Again, I've paired these two together because they are the exact same coaster. They're both the standard Vekoma family coasters. One is at Energylandia, being Energus, and the other one is over at Plopsaland, Belgium, the K3 roller skater. These are quite enjoyable family coasters. They've got some good forces, some good speed. It depends if you do 2 or 1 laps, really, is what makes the ride. Energus, you go around twice. K3 roller skate is just the once. That's why I put it above that. Generally not the most amount of theming on this, but again, it is quite a good, enjoyable family roller coaster. We took Eloise and Rowan on the K3 roller skater because they came with us to that park. They loved it, so it's a good family coaster. Really strong layout for a family coaster. You've only got a 1 meter height restriction on there, so it's really accessible to a lot of people. But for us thrill seekers, yeah, again, not the most thrilling, but always enjoyable to get on those sort of Vekoma family boomerangs, family roller coasters. Above that, we have Frida at 38. Frida is again a Vekoma family coaster, but this one has got a different layout from the likes of Energus and K3 roller skater. I found this layout just a little bit more enjoyable. This one's located over at Energylandia next to Zadra in the back end of the park. Again, 2 laps round, but again, not a great deal to say about this. Just a slightly more enjoyable layout than K3 roller skater and Energus, to be fair, and that's why it makes it in at number 38. In at number 37 is Val de Care, if I'm saying that right, or Flight of Icarus over at Parc Asterix. This is a Schwarzkopf comic coaster, one of the last in existence, and it's not a particularly thrilling coaster, but it's got a nice layout to it. It's got some good turns and some good speeds. It's a very old coaster. It's got a very unique style of coaster car, the way you sit and the restraint system, which makes it, you know, sort of half interesting. But it's just one of the coasters that I wanted to experience. Not massively thrilling. Me and Ruben, you know, we went in it just once. Didn't really see the point in doing it much again because it just wasn't particularly enjoyable. But it is a unique attraction, and it's quite a rare breed these days, I think, these old comic coasters, and that's why it makes it in at number 37. At number 36, we have Crazy Bats over at Phantasialand. This is an indoor Vekoma coaster, which was once the world's longest indoor coaster. It's got 3 lift hills, and there's 2 ways you can experience this coaster. You can either do it with the VR headsets on or without. Without, it's pretty boring, to be fair. You're just going around on this pretty lackluster, tame coaster in the complete pitch black. So, I mean, the second time when me and Holly didn't experience this with the VR, we were pretty much just having a standard conversation while going around on this coaster for the good sort of 3-4 minute duration that it has. The VR headset, I have to say, is pretty good, to be fair. The animations do line up with the coaster track well. It's very in sync. There's one part where it tricks you into thinking you're going backwards, and it does feel like that on the ride, but obviously that's just done well with the psychological sort of hypnotising they do with the VR sets. I'm not a massive fan of VR. It always messes up my brain a bit. I don't like the way it makes me feel, so I wouldn't put this any higher, but you know, it's a good experience to have, and another coaster just to sort of add to the repertoire, really. But Crazy Bats, nothing particularly special. In at number 35 and number 34 are Boomerang over at Energylandia and Velociraptor over at Paultons Park. These are Vekoma family boomerang coasters with the same layout. They are probably better than the Vekoma family coasters like Energous because they do the layout backwards and they do pick up some good speeds. Obviously with the Vekoma boomerangs you ascend the lift hill in reverse, and some of these do reach quite good speeds when they then release going through the station. And these, the first two, Boomerang and Velociraptor, very focused on helixes, and you've got the sort of airtime hill which goes over the station. And yeah, just I think it's quite an enjoyable coaster. Eloise and Rowan always love the family Vekoma boomerangs. They love Accelerator at Drayton Manor, so we was able to get them on Velociraptor at Paultons, and they really enjoyed it. But yeah, that's the first of the Vekoma family boomerangs on this list, and the next one in at number 33 is Light Explorers. This is over at Energylandia. I preferred this layout a bit more to the other one over at Energylandia being Boomerang, just because this one has more of an out and back layout. It's a bit more airtime focused, which I prefer personally. It's also much better themed being at the back of the park next to Abyssus in the Greek sort of Atlantis style area. So that's just an enjoyable ride really. In at number 32 and the highest ranking family boomerang that I've done this year is Rake at Phantasialand. This one again is sort of in and around, it's not out and back, but it is the larger model, so it does beat some better speed. You've got a really good airtime hill straight out the station after the launch. They gave us the golden ride on this, so we did 2 laps back to back. It was pretty good, and the interaction with Taron and the whole area of Klugheim just makes it so immersive and much better than the other boomerangs on this list. In at number 31 is Marble Madness. This is a wild mouse coaster over at Pleasurewood Hills in Lowestoft. This is a more or less replica of Rattlesnake over at Chessington, just the opposite orientation. I really love wild mouse coasters. I like the lateral forces. You've got good pops of airtime in there. It's just a fun all-round coaster. I only went to this on the once when we did our visit because the kids were too small and Holly didn't bother wanting to do it. So just wanted to experience it to see if it differed at all from the Rattlesnake and obviously get that experience under my belt. But yeah, just a fun coaster, and I always come off with a good smile on my face after riding one of these wild mouse coasters. In at number 30 is Minifigure Speedway. These are a pair of Zera dueling shuttle coasters over at Legoland Windsor. And the reason I put these above the Vekoma family boomerangs is because while the Vekoma family boomerangs sort of have a similar layout, they rely on gravity to then take the train, to stop the train and then reverse it back down the layout. Whereas this one, you actually have a second lift hill which takes you all the way back up to the top of the spike. So you do the exact same as what you did forward in reverse, but at the same speed, whereas you always take the reverse section of the ride on the Vekoma sort of version of these shuttle coasters at a slower speed. So yeah, I very much enjoyed Minifigure Speedway, and obviously the fact they're dueling means you've got a good interaction with the other train as well. It's well themed, it's fun, you got the good soundtrack, and obviously you got the winning flags for if you win the race, which is always good as well. At number 29 is Choco Chip Creek. This is a Vekoma mine train coaster over at Energylandia. The reason I put this so high is not particularly thrilling or massively enjoyable, but it is a good, strong, long layout, and it, depending on where you take it on the train, whether you go forward or back, you will get some good pops of airtime and some strong forces in the helixes. But you've got 3 lift hills, which makes it very worth the wait. I hate it when you queue 30-40 minutes for a 30-second ride, especially if it's not that enjoyable, but because this has a nice long layout, I've found this much more enjoyable. At number 28 is Cobra over at Paultons Park. This is a Gerstlauer bobsled coaster, really strong family coaster over there, and we experienced it in its final form before its refurbishment into Raven next year when the Realm of the Vikings land opens. It's got some good tight turns on this, giving some good lateral forces. You've got loads of pops of airtime, especially towards the end of the ride. You've got a nice little head chopper just to finish the ride as well, and of course some good helixes and forces. Decent ride, not particularly re-rideable, but I quite enjoyed it, and Eloise absolutely loved it, so that's why it makes it in at number 28 on this list. In at number 27 is Cannonball Express. This is a Schwarzkopf coaster over at Pleasurewood Hills and the last of its kind in the UK. Has some good speeds and good forces on this, especially towards the bottom of the helix at the end of the ride. Very sharp and painful brakes at the end, but generally a good coaster. Getting a little bit rough, but I think there are plans in its place to refurbish this ride, either retrack it or relocate it to another area in the park where it's a bit more prominent, a bit more seen, because it is a good fun coaster. It could definitely do with another train though, because the throughput was very slow, being only 8 riders per train. And a separate discharge to loading station as well, which just slows down operations. But yeah, very much enjoyed this coaster. Only had a chance to do it once, as the kids were a little bit frightened off by it because it is quite intense, which I guess makes me just enjoy it that little bit more. So if we ever do Pleasurewood Hills again, it'd be good to get back on that coaster. At number 26 is Tractor Horror. Not sure if I'm saying that right, but that is a bobsled coaster over at Park Asterix, and it is the trackless kind, which goes to all the troughs. Really fun coaster, to be fair, really intense towards the top. You pick up some good speeds and it really throws you into the sides of those troughs, giving some good positive Gs. Get some awesome views of the park as well, especially looking over to Toutatis, because it's right next to the land of Toutatis. It does die off towards the end of the ride a bit. It slows down quite a lot, especially towards those last sections with the lift hills. But yeah, really fun ride and awesome throughput, really good operations as well. Never been on a ride before where you've got one train at the bottom of the lift hill while the other one's still ascending, just going over the top. So that was kind of crazy to see, but yeah, really good fun. Again, and to be fair, it'd be nice to get Eloise and Rowan on these coasters eventually, because I think they would really enjoy these ones. Right, we're nearly halfway there. We're into the top 25 now, and in at that number 25 spot is Storm Chaser over at Paultons Park. This is a Mack Ride spinning coaster, one that we experienced for the first time this year. We had done Paultons previously in 2023, but both kids were either too small or very frightened on getting on the something that big. So they definitely wanted to get on it this year, and we were so glad they did because they absolutely loved it. And me and Holly really liked it as well. Really good, intense coaster for sort of a family one. You've got some positive Gs at the bottom of that helix, which is nearly a grey out moment, to be fair. Really quite intense. You've got some awesome speeds, and because it's a spinning coaster, it's so re-rideable as well. You take the layout differently every single time. It's themed in with the Tornado Springs area of the park, which is all around American Route 66, and it's just tied in with the area so well. You've got an awesome soundtrack. It just gets you really pumped for the ride. Really good queue line. Only running the one train when we did go on it, but it doesn't really matter because Paultons do their operations so well anyway. But really strong coaster, and something that I'm glad the kids got on this year for the first time. At number 24 is Wipeout. This is the UK's only Vekoma Boomerang remaining, and it is over at Pleasurewood Hills. This year it got a brand new train with lap bars, which I have to say is not as comfortable as it seems because it's just a metal bar. When you're being ascended in reverse up that first lift hill, the entire body weight leans onto this metal bar. It's not great, but compared to other Vekoma Boomerangs, it's a lot more comfortable because it just takes away the head banging, which is so notorious on those boomerang coasters. It's got 6 inversions, 3 in the reverse and 3 going forwards. It's a very intense layout packed into an incredibly small footprint. So it is pretty, it can be very forceful, and you don't want to ride it too much because even me, the 3 times that I did it, within about half an hour, I was getting a bit of a headache. But enjoyable coaster, decent speeds. These Vekoma Boomerangs are sort of very similar. Can't really differ them too much apart. But yeah, it's a pretty thrilling coaster. At number 23, we have Goodricks at Park Asterix. This is a Vekoma looping coaster, which was built back in the 80s and one of the first major attractions, or if not the first major attraction at Park Asterix. It has definitely shown its age. It's had numerous retracks over the years. It's just recently had a new train with the vest restraints on taken away, the head banging, which probably definitely made it bearable. It's got very sharp transitions, it's very forceful, there's a lot of inversions, it's a pretty enjoyable coaster. Strangely, it's a bags on ride, which I found very odd. You have to take your bag on this ride, and it's got 7 inversions, so it's a very odd ride, but yeah, quite enjoyable, decent speeds on it, but just very intense and very rough, I'd say. It just shakes you around a lot with the sharp transitions on the inversions. In at number 22 is Rollercoaster Mayan. This is a Vekoma SLC that's located at Energylandia. We experienced this twice on our visit, and it is one of the smoother Vekoma SLCs that I've found. thing with the Vekoma SLCs is if you do get a smooth one and it's got the decent restraints, they are quite enjoyable coasters. They've got really strong layouts. Very much enjoyed this one. We managed to get front row as well, so it's always good to get that when you can. Not really much more to say about this. It's just the most enjoyable one that I've said this on this list, so that's why it makes it in at number 22. Number 21 is Flight of the Pterosaur. This is a Vekoma suspended family coaster located at Paultons Park, which we got to experience for the first time this year. Really smooth coaster, some good forces, especially on the helix. Kids absolutely loved it. You got comfortable lap bar restraints as well. Got a little pop of airtime there halfway through the layout as well, but generally just a nice, enjoyable family coaster. At number 20 is Windjazz Force. This is the first of 2 Mara spinning coasters over at Phantasialand, which we got to experience. This is definitely the weaker of the two. Both of them have very similar layouts, but they've both got some surprises that they pack in store, which I won't reveal. Good, enjoyable layouts though. They're very smooth. They've got some good lateral forces. They've got some good pops of airtime. Awesome, unique lift hills as well. But like I say, Windjazz Force is definitely the weaker of the two. Very much enjoyed Windjazz Fear, which is further up this list. At number 19 is RMF Dragon. This is another Vekoma suspended family coaster, this time over at Energylandia. The real thing I like about this one, as opposed to Flight of the Pterosaur, is the first sort of 3 elements of the layout. You've got a really good drop, which goes straight down into the lowest part of the layout, which goes through a dragon's mouth. You've then got an overbank, which nearly classes an inversion, followed by a little airtime hill. After that, it's sort of similar to Flight of the Pterosaur with the helix and the forces, but this is definitely an enjoyable coaster, which I probably would have experienced more than twice if it wasn't for the fact I wanted to get on so many of the better attractions at Energylandia. At number 18, we have Gold Rush at Drayton Manor. This is an Intamin family coaster, which features lift hills, launches, switch tracks. It's got everything. It's got 2 unique cycles. Really, really enjoyed this attraction for the first time this year. This is a replacement of what used to stand there being Apocalypse, the drop tower. But this is an awesome coaster. It's got a very good length to it. It's very well themed. It's got pops of airtime. The launches are pretty good. You got obviously the backwards sections as well, and it's if you don't know what's going to happen the first time you ride it and you haven't really done your research, it does pack in some good surprises. Kids really love this. I really liked it. Can't wait to get on it again next year when we go and experience it on both cycles again. So it'd be really good to get on that. But yeah, Gold Rush, very enjoyable family coaster over at Drayton Manor. At number 17, we have Anubis, which is a Gerstlauer launch coaster over at Plopsaland, Belgium. This was a very rough coaster, to be fair. It was pretty enjoyable. It had some good elements on it, especially the top hat and some of the inversions. But the thing that puts it so highly for me is that launch. It is so punchy, it takes you straight away. The launch track itself is not that long, and the speed you get to in that time really just shows how punchy and how forceful that launch is. It just takes you straight up that top hat. Really, really fun, that launch. Other than that, it is a bit of a headbanger. You got some rough moments and a pretty weak layout after that top hat, to be fair. It's just sort of generic inverted coaster. Got a pretty good 0G stall towards the end of the ride, but it is quite short, and it's definitely the launch that puts it that high up the list for me. At number 16 is Colorado Adventure. This is a Vekoma Mine Train over at Phantasialand, and definitely the most intense Vekoma Mine Train out there. I mean, I've only experienced Choco Chip Creek as my other one, but from what I've heard from other enthusiasts, it is so out of the sort of boundaries which Vekoma Mine Trains set themselves as with family coasters, because we experienced that at the back, and let me tell you, I barely stayed in my seat. If I wasn't up in the air, I'd been thrown to the side. There's so many surprises in this coaster as well, because there's got indoor sections. It's got 3 lift hills, so it's a good length to the ride as well. It's definitely worth the queue, even if it's a long queue, because it's such a long ride. But yeah, definitely towards the back is one of the most intense coasters at Phantasialand. Got so much airtime, you're just being thrown around everywhere. If you don't hold on, yeah, you do get absolutely taken out of your seat. But it's such a fun experience and one of my favourite coasters at Phantasialand. Right, into the top 15 then, and at number 15 is Windjazz Fear. This is the other Mara spinning coaster which I mentioned earlier. The reason I like this is because it has the banked U-turn. It's also got, I just find it's got better airtime, better drops, and just a lot more intense and enjoyable than Windjazz Force. Can't really say much more about it really. It is very similar to the other Mara spinning coaster there, but it's just a more enjoyable version for me, and that's what makes it in at number 15. Number 14, we have Heidi the Ride. This is a GCI wooden coaster over at Plopsaland, Belgium. Really enjoyed this ride, but I was a little bit underwhelmed the first time I went on it. Not as much airtime as I thought there would be. Of course, I was riding it in the winter, in the dry weather, so I probably was riding it at one of the worst environments for it to perform at. It'd be nice to get on it in the summer again when it's performing at its best, but it did make it up quite high on this list because it was a good, little, enjoyable wooden coaster. At number 13, we have Pegasus Express. This is a family coaster by Gerstlauer over at Park Asterix. It's got so much in this coaster, it's great. It's got a really long layout. You've got launches forwards and backwards. You've got a lift hill with airtime drops. You've got some good twists and turns, some helixes, and then you've got the backwards section at the end, which really pulls this ride together as just sort of a complete package. Definitely one of the best family coasters I've ever ridden, if not the best one. It's only got a 1 metre height restriction as well, so Eloise and Rowan could easily get on that if we wanted to take them to Park Asterix for a day trip or for a weekend away. It's also got a nice indoor dark scene as well, some good theming, and it's also got very good operations as well because it often runs all 3 trains. In at number 12 is Osiris over at Park Asterix. This is a B&M invert which opened back in 2012. It isn't my favourite invert, but it definitely is a lot better than the likes of Nemesis Inferno. It's got a very long layout which definitely boasts for it. Really well themed as well in the Egypt section of the park. It's got some great elements, especially that sort of airtime pop just before the dive loop. You've also got one of the only drops on B&Ms without the little pre-drop beforehand. It just goes straight down into it. Really good angle. Has some good speeds. Very forceful, very intense coaster. But being an airtime fanatic as opposed to an inversion fanatic like Holly, I definitely didn't enjoy this as much as I thought I would, and it was not my favourite coaster at Park Asterix. Still though, a strong invert, decent layout, and that's why it makes it in at number 12 on this list. In at number 11 is Speed at Energylandia. This is the only water coaster on this list and the only one I've ever tried, unless you count Super Splash, which I don't on this list as there's just not enough coaster elements in it to count as a coaster. But Speed is an awesome ride. You've got 3 sections to the ride essentially. You've got the boat ride at the beginning, which is a nice, calm, relaxing meander through the queue line. You've then got a really unique you've then got a really unique lift hill, which takes you up and sort of outwards while you pass the other carriage, which is coming down. This can be quite uneasy, to be fair, because there's nothing ahead of you, nothing behind you, and you're going up to the side, and then you're going back vertical again. It is a pretty high lift hill. It's 165 feet. And then you've got the final part of the ride, which is the coaster, it reaches some very good speeds, to be fair, more than 60 mile an hour when you're at the bottom of that first hill. It starts with a little bit of a spray, but then you've got a relatively broad and forceless coaster. But then you've got a nice splashdown at the end. So I think I like this coaster because it surprised me a lot. It's got decent speed. You've got the sort of a nice long ride, which is versatile and unique. And then you've got a good splashdown element to finish the coaster with. Right into the top 10. We are nearly there. In at number 10 is Formula over at Energylandia. This is a Vekoma launch coaster, one of the first major attractions that put Energylandia on the map. It's got 3 inversions. It's such a fun coaster. It's well paced. It's got a really good launch for LSMs. It's all themed around Formula 1 and racing, so it's not massively immersive, but it is quite a fun coaster. And you go straight into an inversion from the launch, which I really like. It's got very comfortable trains as well, those standard Vekoma launch Vekoma thrill coaster trains. So it's got the vest restraints. It's a good coaster, really enjoyable, and sort of one of the hidden gems over at Energylandia, which is often overlooked. At number 9 is Black Mamba. This is a B&M invert over at Phantasialand. It's very similar to Nemesis Reborn in the way that it hugs the terrain and it just makes you feel like you're going so much faster than you actually are. It's still such an enjoyable coaster though. The theming is great, the soundtrack is great when you're going through the queue line. It's so immersive, all in the Africa themed area of the park. More or less everything at Phantasialand is well themed, and Black Mamba does not stray away from that because it is so well themed. Especially if you go on the Africa Trail, you get some really close-up views of Black Mamba as it's going past. But yeah, really good invert. The layout itself is strong. You've got some great inversions, great moments of high force and intensity, and the best thing about it is when you're on the front row, you just have no idea where you're going next because it's so hidden and wrapped around the terrain. You just can't see the layout, so it is quite a surprising layout if you don't know it off by heart. In at number 8, and probably one of the more controversial picks on this list, is Hyperion over at Energylandia. It's an Intamin Mega Coaster which stands at a whopping 269 feet above the Polish countryside, and I have to say it was a little bit underwhelming compared to some of the other coasters that I ranked higher up on this list. It's incredibly fast, it's got some great speed on it, it's got a really good layout, especially towards the end when you're just darting around close to the ground and doing all those whips of airtime and sort of lateral helixes and everything. But overall, it just didn't pack the punch I thought it would. It's still an amazing coaster, I definitely look forward to going it again. But yeah, I don't think it could rank any higher than what I've got on this list because the other ones I enjoyed a lot more. It's also a little bit rough, which I was a little bit surprised about, especially with Intamin being quite a new coaster as well. It does shake around quite a lot. But yeah, an enjoyable coaster, just not as good as I thought it'd be. In at number 7 is Abyssus over at Energylandia. This is the other Vekoma launched coaster at Energylandia. This is, however, a multi-launch coaster. The first launch is fairly slow, it's very tame, you got a few pops of airtime and helixes before you then go into the main part of the coaster, which is a much faster and punchier launch, which then takes you into a top hat, and that's when all the inversions start. This is an incredibly long ride, it's got a massively long layout. I just didn't know when it was going to end, to be fair, but it was so fun. You've got so many inversions in there, you've got so many pops of airtime, the launches are great, the theming's great. You got the comfortable Vekoma thrill coaster trains as well. Just absolutely love this. This was the first coaster that we actually experienced at Energylandia, and it just set the tone for what was going to be an awesome couple of days there. So yeah, really enjoyed Abyssus, and that's why it makes it so high up this list. Just narrowly missing out on the top 5 is Tonnerre to Zeus over at Parc Astrix. This is a CCI wooden coaster which opened back all the way in 1997. And this coaster just left me completely speechless. It was relentless from beginning to end. It was so well paced, so intense, so much airtime. Yes, it was rough, it shook you around a lot, but I think that just added to the experience of it being completely insane and utterly ludicrous. Can't really say much more about this because I just absolutely love this wooden coaster. It's my favourite wooden coaster, if you don't count hybrids. Cannot wait to get Holly on this and see what she thinks of this, because me and Ruben, when we experienced it, just couldn't get enough of it. The only reason we didn't ride it more is because we wanted to ride Toutatis so much that day, but yeah, Tonnerre to Zeus, what a coaster. Really enjoyed it. So, top 5 then. We have Taron at number 5 at Phantasialand. This is an Intamin Blitz coaster, and it's just completely brilliant. It definitely warms up a lot during the day. I was a little bit underwhelmed the first time I rode it, but that was sort of within the first couple of hours of opening. However, as we rode it more and more throughout the day, and it got better and better and faster, it just blew me away so much. It's no inversions, it's just sort of airtime hills and twists and turns, but you've got 2 launches in there. The second launch is absolutely brilliant. It's all the way underground. The Intamin launches are great anyway, and they also make a great sound. But the whole area is well themed in with Klugheim, and you got the interaction with Rake, and the whole area is just an absolute mess of track. You don't know what's coming next. Even after I rode it 5-6 times throughout the couple of days, I still didn't know the layout off by heart. So it really is a surprising coaster. It's got great speed throughout. It just doesn't slow down at all. You have not as much airtime as I thought there'd be, but still some good pops of airtime, especially after the first launch coming over that bank and when it takes you down into the valley. But yeah, such a good ride, Taron, and I will definitely look forward to getting onto that again in the future. In at number 4 then is the other coaster at Phantasialand, which I have not yet mentioned, and that is Fly. This is the Vekoma flying coaster, which is the only one of its type anywhere in the world, which surprises me so much because this was an absolutely incredible coaster. The whole area and the coaster itself just makes into an amazing experience. You've got the pre-show, you've got the way it turns you into the flying position. The coaster itself, absolutely brilliant. Such a long layout. You've got 2 launches in there. Not the punchiest of launches, not the strongest, but definitely an incredibly strong layout. You've got inversions in there. What this coaster doesn't have, as opposed to the B&M ones, is the lying down position, because you are always on your front. The only time you ever get thrown on your back is the inversion, but there's never any prolonged periods of lying on your back. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, because I do quite enjoy that section on Galactica. You got a nice prolonged period of lying down, but Vekoma definitely hit an absolute nail on the head with this coaster because it is such a good experience. and the whole area of Rookburg as well really is well themed to the minute of details, all the way to the whole facade and the way the coaster's themed in with the area. Absolutely loved it. Definitely top 5 coaster for most people that have been anywhere in Europe. So yeah, Fly makes it at number 4. Okay, into the top 3. At number 3 is the Ride to Happiness by Tomorrowland over at Plopsaland, Belgium. This is the one coaster which had to get off my list this year. I'd seen so much about it online and there's so much hype around it. It definitely just didn't disappoint. And this is when I rode it at its worst. I mean, it was cold in December. It was dry. So I can only imagine what it's like when it's riding at its best. I only had 4 rides on this and every single one was completely different. So I imagine that the next time I get on it, it might climb up the list a bit more in my overall rankings. But for this list, it makes it at number 3 for the for the best new coasters of 2025. What an insane ride this actually is. It's so re-rideable as well because you take the layout differently every single time as it's a spinning coaster. It's got 2 launches, both of which are absolutely insane. The second launch I do prefer because it's a dip down launch with the air time. You've got 5 inversions on this coaster, which you just take differently every time. It's got a top hat, which is angled, and then it's got pretty much vertical drop. And if you're in the back car, you get some insane air time on there. What makes this coaster even better is the onboard soundtrack, because you've got speakers blasting in your ear either side throughout the entire ride, and it's such a cool soundtrack as well. It's just a really good ride overall. It definitely lived up to the hype that I had, sort of pictured for this ride. Holly enjoyed it also so much. I think she put it as her new number 1. So yeah, Ride to Happiness, absolutely insane and brilliant ride. At number 2, we have Zadra. This is my only RMC that I have ridden. This is an Energylandia. It's a hybrid RMC, and it is just absolutely insane. Such an incredible coaster. You've got the great pacing throughout. You've got awesome airtime moments. You've got head choppers. You've got great inversions. I mean, you've got hang time on that stall. Absolutely brilliant. The trains are comfortable as well. You've got such a good height to this coaster. It's 205 feet and 70 miles an hour. My favourite element on this coaster is actually the tiny little bunny hill right at the bottom of the first drop, because it not only gives you the airtime, it also takes you slightly to the side, which gives you good lateral forces. And if you know me, I absolutely love the lateral forces on a coaster. Yeah, RMC definitely know how to make a coaster, because this did not disappoint at all. I'm so glad I got to ride it this year, along with Ride to Happiness and the ones at Phantasialand. Zadra was definitely on my bucket list to get done this year. I just wanted to get on an RMC, and I think Zadra was an absolutely brilliant one to do as my first RMC, and that's why it makes it at number 2, not only on this list but on my overall list as well. So that brings us to number 1 on this list of new coaster experiences for 2025, and my best coaster that I've ridden this year for the first time is Toutatis over at Parc Asterix. This is an Intamin multi-launch coaster which opened back in 2022, and it is absolutely insane. I loved it from the first moment I got on it to the 5th ride of the day which I took on it. Yeah, it's just absolutely brilliant, to be fair. It's got everything you want in a roller coaster. It's got the launch, it's got the speed, it's got the backward section, it's got the inversions, the airtime, the theming, the comfort of the trains, it's got the operational throughput. It's just absolutely brilliant. I can't see anything they did wrong with this coaster. I absolutely loved it. My personal highlight for this is the backward airtime launch when you go through the swing launch. That is my favourite element anywhere on a coaster that I've ever been on. It is just so good, so intense, but also so smooth throughout the ride as well. This is the one coaster which I need to get Holly on next year, because I hope she shares the same love for this coaster that I do, because I absolutely love it. I can't wait to get on it again. The first time I went on it, I was speechless, completely blown away. Haven't had those feelings on a roller coaster any time in my life before. So yeah, I've got a lot of love for this coaster. Toutatis is my overall number 1, and definitely number 1 of 2025 as well. So thanks for joining on this ranking list. I hope you will stay tuned to the channel for 2026 and all the new experiences that we have to bring you then. I will probably do a similar one this time next year, assuming that I haven't had too many coasters that are going for the first time, because otherwise it will be an extraordinarily long video. Hats off to you if you have stayed with me this long in the list, and I hope you will continue to follow on in our journeys in 2026. So thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed the ride, and we will see you again soon.